Welcome back. This is video 2 in lesson 4 on significant figures under unit 2 for measurement. So we talked about what a significant figure is last video. Now we're going to look at how we can count significant figures in a number. So anytime we measure something in science class, we should report our answers or our measurements to significant figures. So we can just look at a number and say how many significant figures it has. And it's all based whether or not our number has a decimal point or not. So if a decimal point is present, we start from the left of the number. We count all numbers, including zeros, beginning with the first non-zero number. So we start from this side and we go this way. If a decimal point is absent, starting from the right, we count all numbers, including zeros, beginning with the first non-zero number. So we start on this side and we go in this direction. So if we look at these two examples, a botanist reported the age of a tree as 500 years. How many significant figures are given? So we have to look up here. Do we have a decimal point in 500? Was it present or absent? Well, there's no decimal point anywhere near that number, so it's absent. So with this number, 500, with no decimal point, we start from the right of the number, so we start over on this side, and we count all numbers beginning with the first non-zero number. So we go in this direction. Our first non-zero number is that 5. So we know that this is absent, and here is our first non-zero number. That's the only one we have when we count this way, so we have one significant figure. So I'm going to abbreviate sig fig for significant figure. Now, that means that that number was estimated. We're only certain of the 500. So if we think about the range that that value could be in, because we might have rounded this, this is how big that range is. 450 to 549 is our range. So if this was rounded to one significant figure, that's what this measurement could have been. So if we have this botanist again, and he reports, or she reports, the age of the tree as 500 point years, well, now with 500 with the decimal point is present. So we start from this side of the number and count this way. The first non-zero number is right there, and everything after it. So we have 3 sig figs. So these zeros count because of decimal. And if we look for this range, because that is our last significant figure, that 500, that means the number behind it had to be rounded up to that number. So our range goes from 499.5 to 500.4. Look at that range compared to this range. It is a lot smaller. So this is a more accurate representation because we have more sig figs. Now, outside of science class, 500 and 500 point are basically the same thing. But when we write 500 point, that number is 100 times more accurate, precise, than when we write 500 with no decimal. Because we're going to be more precise because our groups of measurements are going to be better and clustered together. So we have precision to the ones decimal place in 500 point versus precision to the hundreds place in 500 with no decimal. So we're going to go over a couple more example problems here. So if we look at this number, 0.000045, we have a decimal point present. So we're going to start from the left of the number and go this way. So the first non-zero number we come to is 4, and then everything after it. So 1, 2 sig figs. Now our next example, We do not have a decimal point, so we're going to start from the right side of the number. The decimal is absent, and we're going to go in this direction. The first non-zero number we come to is 2, and we count everything after it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sig figs. 7,080. Decimal is absent, so we start from the right side of the number and count that way. So first non-zero number we come to is 8 and everything after it, so we have 3 sig figs. In our last example here, we have a decimal. So the decimal is present, so we start from the left and we go this way. First non-zero number we come to is this 9, and then we count everything after it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 significant figures. So what I would like you to do on the next page is I would like you to complete this understanding check. You can pause the video, and when you're done, unpause it, and we will go over these. So go ahead and pause and complete these 6 problems. Welcome back. So if we look at our first one, this one has a decimal present. This one has a present. This one is present. This one is present, absent, and absent. So that tells us where to start. So if a decimal is present, we start from this side of the number and we go in this direction. So on this first one, first non-zero number we come to is the 2 and everything after it. So this has 3 significant figures. First non-zero number we come to and everything after it, this one also has 3. Starting from the right side or the left side of the number and counting everything after it, first non-zero number is a 4, so everything gets counted here, that's 6. Our last one up here that's present is this one. First non-zero number we come to is a 6 and everything after it, so that's 4. Our last 2 problems, we start from the right side. We do not have a decimal point. So moving from the right, the first non-zero number we have is 3, and everything after it gives us 2. And then our last problem, we start from this side of the number and move this way. First non-zero number we have is the 1, and everything after it gives us 6 significant figures.